As I've gotten older as a video game player, I've become far more interested in the game's story than anything else. To me, games are a fascinating blend between movies and books, constructing a narrative that is very visually driven. However, the player is critical in completing the experience, with input and imagination contributing to the completion of the storytelling. And that's what this list is about, a look at the games that have left an impact on me in this way, in narrative alone. What I'll do is explain the game's premise and make a couple additional remarks, all while trying to remain spoiler-free. Plus, I'm keeping this at one game per franchise. But feel free to skip the point if you're really trying to go totally blackout on the game. That said, I am Youko, and these are my top 10 favorite narratives in games. Link is a young boy living in Kokiri Village when the fairy Navi tells him that the forest spirit, the Great Deku Tree, has a request for him. The tree has been cursed by the evil Ganondorf, so Link is tasked with seeking out Princess Zelda so that he may begin a quest to save the land of Hyrule. Treasures from the forest, mountains, and sea are required to stop Ganondorf's plot, but all isn't what it seems. The story of The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time is timeless in how the main character grows into a hero. With a great supporting cast, a hateable antagonist, and an incredible world for its time, this title is an iconic adventure. So hop on Epona and ride across Hyrule Field. You've got a world to save. The world of Balance is a land built upon science and technology, where magic is merely a legend from the fabled War of the Magi. However, when a frozen Esper is discovered after the result of an Imperial raid, the rebel group known as the Returners begins a quest to stop the evil Empire from gaining too much power. After all, the war over magic must not begin again, like it did 1,000 years ago. Many websites name Final Fantasy VI among the best RPGs of all time, and it's clear to see why. The high Super Nintendo production values, the tight gameplay, and the amazing soundtrack all help, sure, but the story really sells the experience. And when you have so many possible party combinations, and each member has their own deep backstory, it doesn't take long to be sucked into the events of the world of Balance. A nameless wanderer looks across the desert and sees a shining light at the top of a distant mountain. The player makes the decision to follow that light while taking in the beauty of the world. In addition, the player is accompanied by a travel companion who is making the voyage just like you. Together, you learn about the world's history as you encounter setbacks along the way. To me, the partner element in Journey really sells the experience. It's a brilliant decision by the developers to not use any words in the storytelling, but this makes it especially intriguing when you and your companion can't communicate by any normal vocal means. Trust me, this game has the capability to wow you like no other title can. Nine people have been abducted by a mysterious individual named Zero. They have 9 hours to escape the sinking ship they have been placed in, but they can only do so by participating in and winning the Nonary game. This cruel concoction of zeros will put everyone's life on the line, as they must go through numbered doors to find the escape behind door number 9. Who is Zero? Can you trust the other players? And most importantly, can you escape? 999, 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors, relies entirely on its narrative, and boy does it deliver. Sure, you'll be solving point-and-click puzzles too, but get ready to do a lot of reading. Not only that, but you'll want to brace yourself for the true ending's complexity. Good luck, Junpei. Hey, remember those adventures you had in the first Mass Effect? Well, Commander Shepard is dead. But don't worry, he's been brought back to life to help stop the Collectors, a race that is trying to harvest human life. To complete this arduous mission, Shepard will need the best the galaxy has to offer. But remember, Shepard's past decisions will result in future consequences. The replayability of Mass Effect 2 is amazing, with different choices resulting in different outcomes. The options are countless, plus you have great characters and gameplay encapsulated in one of the most comprehensive universes the gaming medium has to offer. So hop aboard the Normandy and create your own legacy through Shepard. Mass Effect 2 is waiting. Ethan Mars is a man tortured by personal tragedy. Things only get worse when his son is kidnapped by the Origami Killer, a mysterious serial killer of young boys. In order to discover the criminal's identity, players will make difficult choices while changing perspectives between Ethan, a private detective, a journalist, and an FBI agent, each with their own personal conflicts. The question remains, can you save Ethan's son in time? The story behind Heavy Rain is certainly a special one that makes the player feel many emotions. Sadness, anxiety, horror, confusion, they're all here. But the greatest of these is intrigue, because you're always wanting to know what happens next. Sure, the controls are a little different, and you do have 22 different endings. Just don't be surprised when you don't see the big twist coming. Happy mystery solving. Professor Herschel Layton and his young apprentice Luke Triton attend a demonstration in London regarding a time machine at the request of a puzzling individual, Luke Triton from 10 years in the future. Unfortunately, the demo goes horribly awry, which causes events that lead Layton and Luke to a London they do not recognize. In this dystopian future, a top-headed figure identified as Herschel Layton is a crime boss, so the professor of the present is tasked with stopping his future self. While you as the player may be busy solving puzzles, the point-and-click adventure and subsequent story of Professor Layton and the Unwound future is so rewarding. While the two previous Layton games had big twists, this one hits you and then doesn't stop. A story has more weight to it when you care for the characters more, after all. There certainly isn't anything puzzling about what makes this title's narrative so great. Phoenix Wright has been involved in important cases before, but his past is about to come back and haunt him. The latest prosecutor to go up against him is an unknown masked man named Godo, who has a pure disdain for our favorite defense attorney. However, things become even more complicated when the player learns the backstory of Phoenix's mentor, Mia Fey, and then there's the attorney's romantic past from his college days. Things are about to become more dangerous in the legal world, and friends may be in danger. Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations really advances the Phoenix Wright series' narrative standards. Each case flows together in some fashion, with each offering some benefit to help you solve the final mystery. Plus there's backstory galore in this game, which really makes great characters even more memorable, even if a set of blips is really the only oral pattern of speech. There better be no objections to this being on the list, but you already knew that if you've played it before. After the events of Shadow Moses Island, Solid Snake is a hero. But his work isn't done when 2 years later, he and Otacon have discovered that a new Metal Gear model is in development. Things don't go entirely according to plan at the Tanker though, so 2 years after that event, an environmental and terrorist crisis takes place at the Big Shell oil complex. It's up to a new operative named Raiden to stop the terrorists and discover the twisted truth behind everything. Metal Gear games deliver really intense narratives, but Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty blows me away every single time. We learn deep complexities to already established characters, we're introduced to new villains, and we can't help but be wonderfully baffled by the end of it all. Sure, Snake Eater is a more emotional story, but what this story did for the canon's complexity is remarkable. After all, I Need Scissors, 61. Alright, before we get to number 1, let's do a quick recap of my top 10 favorite narratives in games. Number 10, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Number 9, Final Fantasy VI. Number 8, Journey. Number 7, 999, 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors. Number 6, Mass Effect 2. Number 5, Heavy Rain. Number 4, Professor Layton and the Unwound Future. Number 3, Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations. And number 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. Now it's time for... Number 1. When the player-named main character moves from the big city to the small rural town of Inaba, eerie events are set in motion. A serial killer is on the loose, killing people when the fog becomes thick. Could this have anything to do with the urban legend of the Midnight Channel? The player must venture with his classmates to the world inside the TV in order to defeat shadows, unlock hidden powers, save potential victims, and ultimately find the killer. Can you discover the truth? Okay, Persona 3 had a great story too, but Persona 4 and its golden iteration took the narrative to a whole other level. Again, it's all about the characters in this one. Each is interesting to some degree, but then you compound that with the fact that each has an inner conflict they must conquer. With improved battle mechanics, an enhanced social system, and all the additions the Vita version has to offer over the PS2 Classic, you may be pouring many hours into this title, but it's all worth it when you see how it all comes together. Welcome to the Velvet Room. Well, that does it for this SMYN Top 10. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please feel free to leave a comment regarding which video game stories have wowed you over the years. Now, what makes our series unique is that we have different people make lists of their own choosing to submit for posting to this channel. So you can make a video of your own, or you can submit a script for me to read and edit, while still giving you all the credit to smyntop10@gmail.com. Also, let me know future topics you want to see, and make sure to subscribe and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. With that, I'm Youko, and we'll see you at the next Top 10.
On the face of it, they miss the history, but they fight.